How you guys doing? My name is DJ. I am the host of the Boss Talk and Beyond podcast. We are located right now at the Stretch Love in Bethesda. Definitely check out the link in the description in our description box. But today we have a very special guest, man. Who do we have here today?
Hi, everyone. So I am Shawna Rose, a licensed therapist, public health professional, and the founder of a nonprofit called Purple Rose Petals.
Oh, man. No, I'm excited for this, man. You're actually our first therapist on the show. And so this conversation is needed, not only for me, but also for the listeners watching. But we're going to start at the beginning. I know I just asked you before we cut the cameras up, but where are you from?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So originally from Boston, Massachusetts. I've been in the DMV area since 2016. So I've been out here almost 10 years. So I'm not a native, though, but I've been out here for a while.
Okay. And so what brought you up here, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, for being honest, I really came out here for my then boyfriend, now husband. So it worked out. But, I had met him. He was going out here. He went to Howard. So after I graduated undergrad, I moved out here to be closer to him.
Okay, that's amazing. And actually, a lot of people don't know this. When I moved down here, I was moving in with my now ex as well. So that's what I always knew I wanted to be in the DMV area.
Yeah.
But I moved from North Carolina. I was like, how am I going to get here?
Yeah. So similar. Like, I knew I wanted to move from Boston, right? I thought I was going to either be in Dallas or like maybe California. But then when I came to visit him, I was like, oh, this is for me. Yeah. So I was like, oh, let me go ahead and book my little flight.
No, that's amazing. So did you go to school in Boston?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. So I went to school in Boston for undergrad. And so once I moved out here for my, now husband at the time, boyfriend, I was like, okay, Shawna, you cannot be out here just for no man. Like, you have to do something for yourself. So that's why I decided to go back. So I ended up going to Howard for grad school and got my master's in social work and my master's in public health.
Okay. And what was your undergrad in?
Criminal justice.
Criminal justice. Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. So
I've lived a lot of lives. I was like, hold on. So I thought I was going. So originally in undergrad, I started as a communications major.
Okay.
I thought I was going to be like a news anchor. And I was like, I don't really do good in front of the camera like that. So then I'm like, okay, I like criminal justice. I like helping people. In my last year, I was talking to someone at internship, and I was telling her what I want to do. And she was like, that's more social work than what you're doing now. But by then, I was already like my last semester, so I wasn't going to, redo everything.
Right.
So I said, okay, well, if I go back to school, I'll get my master's in social work.
Okay. So you moved down here with your boyfriend at the time. And then you figured out that you needed to do, something. And so you got back into the grad school. So her saying that, is that why you got into social work when you went into grad school?
Yeah, definitely. Because I'm like, okay, I want to help people. So I'm like, what can I do to help people? And I felt like social work was like the perfect balance. People think social workers are just CPS, people that take kids, like the kids away. Like, no, there's so much more that we do. So I really wanted to tap into that and see, what that was all about. And then while at Howard, they had a dual program where you do social work and public health. It was like the first year.
Right.
So I ended up going that route. So I got two masters at once.
Okay. So, I know a lot of people, when we go into a certain major, is because, our parents said it, or it was like, or it was a passion, but we thought it was a passion, so we got into it, but then we changed it. So what continued your passion of wanting to finish out that grad program and social work? Like, was it, I know you say you wanted to help people, but in what way did you want to help people? What kind of led to that?
Yeah. So before I started my master's program, I was working at an organization in the DC area that helped like young teen moms, actually. The goal was to help them. I felt like we weren't really helping them. And I felt like we weren't able to help them because the way that the system was set up, it wasn't set up for them to succeed. So I was like, okay, like, you have to be the change that you want. So I'm like, let me actually go back to school. Let me see if maybe I want to do policy, right? Because like I said, social work, there's so much things you can do with social work. I'm like, maybe I'll go and I'll do policy or, things like that to kind of help change the system. So I felt like that's what really kept my passion alive, was just seeing firsthand that our communities needed people that looked like me, people that actually cared. And so that's really how I stayed the course.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. It's great that you stay steadfast to doing that. Now, kind of going into after you graduated, right? Um, what what were the next steps that kind of led to you starting your nonprofit business, Purple Rose Petals?
Yeah.
Hey everyone, my name is DJ and I am the host of the Boss Talk and Beyond podcast. This podcast is for entrepreneurs. It gives them a platform for them to share their services or products, and also gives them a platform for them to tell their story. This podcast is also for you as a viewer. Feel free to be inspired as you listen and gain any knowledge that any of these hosts or guests are able to, give to you. We hope you like and subscribe and follow us and enjoy the rest of the show.
Okay, so it actually kind of started in grad school.
In grad school, okay, yeah.
So in a sense, like, now we're going to public health, right? So for public health to graduate, you have to do a capstone.
Okay.
So for my capstone, I made a curriculum that was specifically for Black men in mental health. So it was supposed to be like different programs, different events. I do different interviews of people talking about all things mental health for Black men. So like depression, masculinity. And so for the capstone, I had to act as if I was actually going to do this. So I had to like be very, very detailed. So I did that for my capstone. Graduated. I was finished with that. Fast forward, COVID. I'm like, dang, everyone's just home doing nothing.
Right.
I started doing Instagram lives, and I'd have guests come on during COVID.
Is that after grad school? Or is it still during?
This is like right when I graduated.
Okay.
When COVID happened.
Okay.
So I started doing Instagram lives, and I would just have different guests come on. We would talk about different topics about mental health. I had men come on. I had an author come on talking about imposter syndrome. We did some on like boundaries, all different topics. But I also have my own really bad anxiety. So every week having to get on camera and talk and interview, I would be so anxious. So I just stopped cold turkey. And I feel like I was getting some traction at the time too, because again, we were all in COVID. We were home. We had nothing else to do but be on live.
Right.
So I stopped. Fast forward 2025.
Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no,
I'm jumping. Okay.
You're good. Let's start. So this idea of going on Instagram Live, where did that start from? Where did that come from? Is that from?
It was from the capstone.
That's from the capstone?
Yeah, that was part of it in the capstone.
Okay.
Lives.
Okay.
Interviews.
How did you find the people to do interviews with?
I was just like searching people who, like, I would just type in things like mental health, mental wellness, depression, or I just whoever popped up, I'd just reach out to them. I'd send them like a detailed email, tell them what I wanted to do and like why I wanted to do it, and just I sent out probably 100 of them. Probably only 10 responded.
Right. Because that's going to be my next question. Is like, how did you get them to respond and stuff like that? Because a lot of us, we go and send out these mass emails to people, and we only hear, well, what's the average? It's like 2 to 3% or something like that of the people that we send it out to. So no, that was really cool that you were able to get those people on the lives. Okay, and then, so you said you started doing it. So how did you curate and kind of deepen like what we're doing here? How did you curate the questions to ask them on that live?
Yeah, so like it would depend on whatever the topic was, right?
Right.
And so I would really have to think, what is it that people want to know, right? And think about it, this is pre-AI, pre-ChatGPT. I had to actually really think about, what do people want to ask these people. So I would just really think. I would run it by my friends, run it by my husband, like, hey, what would you want to ask them? And kind of just got an idea from there. And then I would also, during the lives, kind of let it flow naturally. If I had questions lined up, but then it might go somewhere else, right? Just depending on what the guest had to say. Right.
Okay. Okay. So now going from the lives, you said you stopped. What was the next, like, I think you said 2025. So
yeah.
Go ahead.
So I stopped cold turkey, and I'm like, you know what? I just don't want to be in front of the camera. I was focusing on other things. And so 2025, I got married, right? So we did destination wedding. And so with that, there were so many different parts of our wedding. Like there was the wedding, there was the welcome party, the brunch, my bridal shower, and I planned it. And I actually really like planning stuff, right? That's important. I like to plan. So throughout this time, my husband's like, yo, babe, I feel like Purple Rose Petals was really like impactful. It helped a lot of people. Like it made people want to be open to talk about therapy. Like it it didn't seem heavy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
right, you would talk about these topics, but it didn't seem heavy. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Boom, the wedding goes, I get married, all that things. But remembering that the wedding took up so much of my time that after the wedding, I'm like, okay, what now?
Right.
I was so consumed with like planning the wedding. I'm like, okay, what do I do now? My husband he goes, I think you should restart Purple Rose Petals, but make it into a podcast.
Right.
I was like, okay. But in my spirit, it didn't feel right. I was like anxious thinking about it. And I'm like, okay, I do like planning. Mental health is my passion, right? I do like this, but a podcast, I don't think that's what God wants me to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I prayed on it and I really was asking God for discernment, like, hey, God, how do you want me to walk? How do you want me to move in this? And he told me, I heard God tell me, he's like, I want you to have events. Right, I want you to do trainings and do, consulting. And again, because I loved planning my wedding and all these things leading up to it, I'm like, it's nothing for me to plan an event, right? And so then I just started I had a mixer, I had a game night, I had an open mic night. I just tried to find different ways where we would talk about mental health, but it didn't feel like therapy.
Right. Oh, that's amazing. You just did an event. I'm saying
the men's one. What's the men's one?
The men's one. Yes, okay. yes. And maybe me. I was like, I'm gonna reach out to some of these people too.
Yeah, please do. Of course, yeah.
But how did you? Again, I know I just asked you this, but how did you find these men? Mm-hmm. And I asked this too, because as guys, and sometimes I hate this phrase. It's like, guys don't show up as much as women do. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you've seen that as well.
Yeah.
So how did you pick the people to be a part of that event? Mm-hmm. And then 2, how did you get the guys to show up?
I'm Shawna Rose, a licensed therapist, public health professional, and the founder of Purple Rose Petals. I created this space so Black millennials would have a safe and affirming space to connect and talk about all things mental health. Because contrary to what you might believe, mental health is much more than just therapy. Mental health is how you show up for yourself, how you navigate friendships, relationships, burnout, grief, even healing, all while moving through a world that continuously tells us to be strong and push through. This space is about honesty, community, and making room for you to be your most authentic self. So welcome.
I said 5 a.m.
Yeah. So very intentional, right? Like, doing my researching, following people. And I would type in things like on Instagram or like TikTok, whatever. I type in things like mental health, men's mental health, and see who came up. But then from there, also looking at their work. What do they stand for? What are they talking about? Because I wanted to make sure they were of quality. And then I also even posted it on Threads. I was like, are there any men in the DMV that are open or interested in like mental health? I see who responded. I see seeing what they were about and kind of followed up from there. To get them to show up. Now, what I will say, I did have to make a separate Instagram just for the men because Purple Rose Petals is for everyone, but I do understand purple and the roses, it kind of is feminine. So I made something just for the men. It's called Men Need Healing Too.
Okay.
And so I'd either do like collab posts with Men Need Healing Too, Purple Rose Petals together, or I'd post just on Men Need Healing Too. And that's really just how I did it. And I would like post little things on Threads like, oh, fellas, who needs a safe space? Or like, little things like that. And I would ask my husband, like, babe, like, what, like, does this, like, is this cliche? Or would you, like, what would you, if you heard it, what would you think? You know what I mean? So, and then even at the event, I wanted to make sure it was a safe space. So I went, introduced myself, introduced the brand, but then I left because I wanted to only just be all men. So I wasn't even in the room during the panel discussion. It was just all the men.
Right. No, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm. It was so dope. We're planning our second one right now. It was so dope. Because like you said, like for most of my events, it's mostly women who come.
Yeah.
Unless the girl drug what's it called, like drug their boyfriend to come with them, like drag them to come. Right. If not, it's always the women that come. But I'm like, I know the men need this space because I'm a therapist. Yeah. I have clients. Most of my clients are Black men. So I'm like, I know y'all need this, but y'all don't want to talk about it. So I'm like, how can I make it feel like just relax? That's why I call it brotherhood and bourbon. Men love to drink,
right?
And brotherhood. We're all looking for community. So,
no, that's amazing. Mm-hmm. That's amazing. And I know before this, you asked me why I started this podcast, man, and ultimately everything that I said is for the community. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of people. One, I think about it in today's age. a lot of people with businesses. And actually, within my last podcast I just did, we talked about this after the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we a lot of people just ask us what service do we have and how it can benefit the other
Mm-hmm.
person. Nobody's like asking, of course, the time with it, but nobody's asking what is your knowledge behind it? Where did you
Yeah.
get this knowledge? What is the deep realm? How did you begin this?
Mm-hmm.
You know, why is this your passion?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you looking, to continue this? Like nobody, of course we don't have time, especially when you're dealing with somebody that's like, all right, just need the services, let's go.
Yeah.
But nobody's had the time to really
Mm-hmm.
explain that in a
Mm-hmm.
deeper level.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of another reason, or putting kind of merging everything I said to you together is, this is giving a space for people to really, go one thing, deep dive into, wow, this is really my journey.
Yeah.
But then also understand that, even though I had those barriers that I had to overcome with, I'm strong here now together.
Mm-hmm.
And then ultimately keeping everybody together so that continues to rise, so that we
Yeah.
can continue to educate people with the viewers and listeners here too.
I love that.
So, but yeah, no, that's amazing that you enjoy, making that community, connecting with other people, especially in the therapeutic space. Because another thing is, I always see a lot of therapy community events for women, but I never really see a lot of therapy
For men.
for
Mm-hmm.
men.
And it's needed.
It
It's
is
needed. Yeah.
It is needed. And I don't know if that's because a lot of people think like, oh, or I don't know if this is a lot because maybe women or men have tried and nobody's came,
Mm-hmm.
or if there's that, I guess, the strong man ego,
Right.
like I don't need to explain
Right.
myself.
Exactly.
This is just how I
Yeah.
built up.
It's
But it is, like you said, it is
Mm-hmm.
needed within the
Mm-hmm.
community. So so that's Purple Rose Petals, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about that.
Mm-hmm.
But therapy wise, though, so since starting therapy,
Mm-hmm.
what has continued to bring enjoyment for you with therapy?
Yes.
And I ask that because a lot of therapists are like, I gotta deal with not gotta deal with this, but it's like hearing
Mm-hmm.
certain things over and
Mm-hmm.
over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
What has
Yeah,
continued
it's so
for
funny.
you?
My friends are always like, are you burnt out? And I'm like, no. But also, I only do therapy part-time. So I
Okay.
will say that I'm not a full-time therapist. I work for the federal government full-time, therapy part-time. But for me, the thing that brings me joy is like when my clients say, I thought about what you said, or, I tried the thing that you told me to try. It really worked out. Like those type of things bring me joy because it shows me like, wow, Shawna, you're really changing people's lives. You're really helping people become the best versions of themselves. So
Right.
I love it.
Right. No, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And so with the therapy, how do you what is the thought, not the thought, how do you merge therapy and events together?
Yeah.
What is your thought process on that?
Yeah. Okay. So for me, when it comes to my events, right? So the focus of my Purple Rose Petals is really to bridge the gap between mental health and culture.
Right.
So I want to start there. But when I say mental health is so much more than just therapy.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally how you show up for yourself, how you navigate friendships, relationships, burnout, grief, like all the things. So what I do is, like I said, I try to make the events fun, but still kind of having some mental health aspect to it, right? So for the open mic night that we had, the theme behind it was grief. So, come and talk about maybe things that you're grieving, or, or like self-care. We had an event on boundaries. So always centering the events around a specific mental wellness topic. So I think that's the way that I always try to do it. There are some events that I feel like are heavier than others, right? Like if we're having a journaling event where the questions might be a little bit more deeper, then, it's a little bit more therapeutic. But sometimes I like to make it feel just light. Like we're talking about mental health, but you don't leave exhausted, or you don't. I also make sure it's a safe space, so you don't have to come and share.
Right.
Sometimes just showing up and being in community and hearing somebody else talk about their grief or talk about their trauma, whatever, that might just make you internally feel a little bit more comfortable to reaching out to getting help.
Right. No, that's I will always say that's amazing. I need to start changing that. That's something I realized I be saying. But that's really just me just processing what you're saying at the same time. No, that is great. Like I said, that's needed. So with these events, what is like your ultimate goal with it? Like, is there a bigger goal with it that you're trying to succeed? What are you trying to do with
Yeah,
it?
definitely. So the bigger goal is really just to change the stigma around mental health. Like I said, so again, I'll never forget my first event. I had it was mostly my friends, obviously. Like nobody knew who I was, building my name. It was still a good event, but I never forget one of my friends at the end. She was like, "Girl, I came just to support you." But after leaving, she's like, "I think I need to go to therapy," and that's what I want. Right, that's my friend. So she told me personally, but I want people to leave who maybe never thought about going to therapy. You know what I mean? I want them to leave, and I want them to realize therapy is not just for crazy people. You don't have to be in crisis to go to therapy, right? You just have to be willing and wanting to be the best version of yourself. And I always use the analogy, right? When we think about people who go to the gym or eat healthy, you don't have to have a chronic illness. You don't have to be obese. You just have to say, I want to eat healthy. I want to be the best version of myself. Mental health is the same way. So I think that's the bigger goal is, again, changing the stigma, getting people to want to maybe start therapy. And then we also do workplace training as well. So going into corporate wellness, corporate spaces, and just teaching them about wellness, boundaries, burnout, all of those things as well.
Right. Do you do you have a therapist yourself?
Of course.
Of course,
Yes. Let me
okay.
tell you something. Every Thursday, and my therapist is a man. I can't wait. I'd be like, oh, well, I can't wait to tell this man what happened this week. I absolutely have a therapist.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's good. That's good. So, and I asked that because I've never been to therapy.
Okay.
Right. And I guess, kind of growing up in, how do I want to put this? Like kind of growing up, it's like I never really saw men going to therapy. I had an ex that went to therapy and it kind of intrigued me. But I still have never went. And I feel like I need to go to therapy, but it's not like a need to go to therapy, if that makes sense. I know it's
You're
like,
not in crisis.
yeah, right. But that doesn't mean that I shouldn't go to therapy at the same time. Because there's always stuff that maybe I haven't noticed that are showing up in my life that is like, that's changing things that if I did, I probably could propel.
Yeah.
What do you say for people like me that, in pertaining of like they should go to therapy?
Yeah, definitely. Like I just said earlier, you don't have to be in crisis to go to therapy, right? Like you were saying, it might be little things that you want to work on. I want to learn how to better communicate. I want to learn how to set better boundaries. I'm somebody that let people walk all over, not me, but someone like I want to just learn how to set boundaries. I want to learn how to make friends, right? I'm socially awkward, whatever it may be. There's so many things that we go through, and a therapist kind of can just help you along the way.
Right.
And we help you kind of figure out the why. Why am I socially awkward? Why do I have bad boundaries? So I think it's really, really important just to become the best version of yourself. Like I said, when it comes to working out, you don't wait until you're obese. Sometimes you just want to work out because like, okay, I'm not in bad shape, but I could be better. You know what I mean? It's like that same mentality.
Right.
And even when it comes to therapy, I always tell people like you who've never been, it's okay to interview your therapist before you start. Because for someone who's never been, in our community, there's already such a bad stigma. A wrong therapist can really deter you from ever going back. So I always tell people, your first therapist doesn't have to be the one you stick with. You can do a consultation for 15 minutes. You can ask them questions. Hey, what's your specialty? Do you have a therapist like you just asked me? You know what I mean? Like all these questions to make sure it's a good fit.
Right. No, you just gave the questions to ask. So I hope the listeners are listening.
Okay.
No, because that is big. Yeah, that I've been told to like interview therapists. Make sure that they are, like you said, the perfect fit, because not every therapist, well, I'm probably wrong in saying this, but not every therapist have the same experience and I guess the teachings in which you want to
You're
learn
100%
from.
right. No, you're right. There's so many different methods that therapists do or that they work on. Like there's some people that do CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. They more so focus on what is the immediate issue. Let's work on that. There's some people who do psychodynamics, so they're more so, they want to figure out what happened in your childhood. So there are different type of like specialties that people can do a therapist focus on. So that's why it is, but also for yourself, it might be good to know like, hey, okay, for example, right? some people might go to therapy because right now work is so stressful that they're so burnt out. You need someone that's right now that let's focus on the right now because work is like the crisis. Someone who's, again, I just have bad boundaries. That might be something, you know what I mean? So the different therapists will focus on different things. And not every therapist is going to be your therapist.
Right.
I know I'm a bomb therapist, but people have interviewed me and I'm like, we're not going to be a good fit. And I will tell them that we're not going to be a good fit because what you need is not what I'm like, that's not my area of specialty. And that's okay. As a therapist, it's your duty to make sure that you can give your client the best that they need.
Right.
And if you can't, it's okay to say, you need somebody else, and I can refer you, I can find somebody else, but me and you are not going to be a good fit.
Right. What is your area of,
So definitely I would say depression, anxiety, and like my age range that I really work well with is, I would say, Black millennials, as well as young adults. So ages maybe 18 to 30 any race. But when it comes to Black millennials, I think that really also is my really, the age group that I'm really, really good at.
What is your method though, as well?
Like, yeah. So for me, I kind of do a lot of different things. So I do CBT if you do need like immediate, but then I also focus on like childhood trauma and how that shows up today.
Okay. Okay. And I guess, from your experience, what have you seen, I guess, what's the word I'm trying to use? What have you seen that the most that millennials
are dealing with?
Yeah, I dealing with.
I would say the biggest thing I would say is like this hustle bustle culture. We feel like we have to go to the point that we are burnt out.
Right.
And it's like, we know we're burnt out, but we're still like, we still have to go. We still have to go because think about it. We really are the first generation to really start making it for the most part, right? Like we're the first ones to actually really having careers and having, degrees and doing all these things. And it's like, I know for me and like my family, my friends, we're the first one. Like, so I come from a Caribbean background, right? So my parents, they just worked to like make sure we got to school.
Right.
And so now that I'm here, now I have to make sure that I'm doing enough to show that I'm appreciative. I'm doing enough to make sure that what they did didn't go in vain, right? So it's like go.
No, I mean, and what do you? So yes, I agree with that. Because that's literally who I am.
And think about it, right? Like if you're going, okay, right? So think about it. You have childhood trauma, but you're going. You never even addressed it. You didn't even realize it was trauma. We have so many things that happen we don't even know because we're just going.
Right.
So I think that's the big thing that I've noticed is people, like somebody might come in, like I said, for something in regards to work. We finished that, but now we're talking about something that happened. They're like, I didn't realize that was trauma.
Right.
I didn't realize the way that I react or me shutting down or all these things is actually like a trauma response.
Wow. Because like I was saying, like I'm the type that go. And I like, that's probably why I need to go there because I don't know where that's really coming from. Well, to me, I think it's coming because I want to be rich. I mean, I know rich looks different. And I look up in different ways, but in my sense, I'm trying to have a lot of money. You know what I mean? And so it's like, but also me being who I am is that I can't just sit around and do nothing. Like I gotta fill in the blank spots. Basically.
So what is doing nothing? Like, what do you mean doing nothing?
I can relax, but I like doing nothing. I can relax and just chill, but then I'm also thinking like money doesn't sleep,
So when you said you can relax, what does relaxation look like to you? What does that mean to you?
Like I have a cruise coming up.
Okay.
In March, right? So I do one of the reasons I do cruises is because I mean I can have my phone, but I have to pay for the internet service. Okay. So I can't use my phone.
Okay, that's good.
I can't use my laptop, and I have to be in the know what's going on. So, but at times I'm still thinking like, hey, I could still be
doing
something, right? It's like, hey, I should have brought my camera and started trying to ask people that I could take pictures of someone. That's just my business mindset, but that's to me is relaxing. And sometimes I don't bring, not sometimes I don't really bring my camera.
Good.
If I do bring a camera, I bring like a Polaroid. I only have like a limited amount of things, and then I don't have any more Polaroids left. So to me, that's what relaxes is. But sometimes I have to make myself relax in that way so I can disassociate myself from the world.
Yeah, okay, that's a good way to do it. But I think the reason why a lot of people of color, well, Black people, I should say, have issues with relaxing, right? We were always taught we have to do twice as much to get half of what they have, right? So we just have to go, 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 go. So if I want to relax, oh, wait, if I relax, like, am I going to get in trouble? Am I not doing enough, right? Like, so again, like, it's been ingrained in us that we have to keep going. We have to do more than the person next to us if we want to succeed, if we want to be rich, we have to keep going. And it's like, but then what happens if you burn out? What happens if you keep going to the point now your health is at risk, right? Because also thinking about it, when it comes to burnout, that correlates with your health. If you're always going, 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 you're not resting, you're not sleeping, that can cause high blood pressure. That can cause all these things that might not have symptoms.
Right.
So it's all connected.
No, I definitely agree with that. So I definitely need to find more ways to relax. I also kind of going into childhood a little bit. I've always saw my mom doing a lot. And so like my mom, she has her good corporate job, but my mom was taking me and my sister to, basketball and musical practice. Even now, like my mom's got a corporate job. She's a travel agent. She was teaching at a university because she got her doctorates, but still getting the doctorates is still a lot because she was getting her doctorates to teach, while also still teaching corporate, dealing with my sister before she went to college. Like I was just always seeing it. So I guess, so I guess that's where it's like, all right, this is what I do too.
What you gotta do,
So I do photography, I make candles, I'm doing a podcast now. Now I got the event coming up. Like I'm just always used by it stems from that. Like I said, I need to do that, but I've always, and then the event comes from me trying to get used to being uncomfortable, and with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I've gotten used to that a little bit, but still, it's like I still work.
Practice makes perfect, right?
For sure.
Yeah, you seen your mom go. So you're like, I gotta go too. Like if she could do, and I think my thing. Well, I was like, well, our moms did it with 3 kids, 2 kids. Who am I? I have no kids, but it doesn't. We're not our parents, right? And our parents came from a different generation with they had to go, but we have the luxury of relaxing a little bit more. We have to remember that it's okay to rest. It's okay to take a deep breath, take a step back, and not overwhelm ourselves.
Right. I know relaxing looks different for everybody, but what does relaxing look like to you?
Ooh, so my birthday was on Tuesday. I took the whole week off. I didn't looking at no emails, no nothing. I just did whatever I wanted to do. I went to the spa all day. On Monday, Tuesday, I did a knitting class. Okay. Who ever thought I would? I was like knitting. I love this. I never would have known that, right? I did a Tai Chi class. I went to a play. Okay. So things I normally wouldn't have done, like that's what it looks like to me. But on the day to day, rest looks like getting my 8 hours of sleep. Okay. I will sleep. Okay, I will sleep. I don't put up my sleep. I love traveling, going on vacation, being by the water. But the day to day, I would say rest for me is sleeping and like also turning off social media and just being in the present moment. I like journaling as well.
Journaling. Okay. So I have a friend who just came out with a book. He was also on the podcast too. And he created his book. It's called Love That Last.
Okay.
He created the book because he was journaling, and from his journaling, he kind of moved it over into creating a book. So it's a relationship book with him and his wife. And so he kind of created it into a book. And he expressed yesterday that he used journaling as a form of therapy for him.
Okay.
And so he created that book for people that are similar couples or marriages that are going through the same things him and his wife went through, for them to kind of work it out. And in the book, it's a good read. But in the book, or after every chapter, he has reflective questions for people to answer on their own terms. And so it's like I said, it's a great book. So that's kind of going off of what you were saying. It's just like having that reflective nature, and then you journaling at the same time. It's something I need to get into. But I really be saying I'm so busy, man. It's like but I gotta make time for the things that could benefit me in the long run, such as like you said, relaxing.
Yeah, and journaling could be 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be long. You can say, let me just answer this one prompt. Or you can also free journal like whatever's coming to your mind. But so for someone who's not used to it, I would say maybe just doing some prompts at first. And the prompts can be around whatever it is that you want to do, right? Like self-reflection, self-growth. How do I rest? Why can't I rest? Like, you know what I mean? Like things like that. Answering those questions I think will be really beneficial for you.
What are some questions for our community? What are some reflective questions for people in our community to kind of answer for themselves? Or kind of like some take-home questions for the viewers that are listening.
That's a good one. Okay, one thing I would say, one question I think would be good for people is, what type of person did younger me need?
Okay.
Like who did younger me need, but didn't get or didn't have? That's one.
Why that question?
Because I think that, again, like I'm someone who does think that there is a big correlation between childhood and who we are today and how we show up today. So I think it's really good to just really think about, when I was a kid, what was missing, right? What was missing from my life, whether it be type of person that I had, type of family I grew up in, whatever it may be, like what was missing that I wish that I had. Because oftentimes what was missing is like sometimes what drives us. I didn't have that, so now I want to make sure I become that for myself. Or, you know what I mean? Or because I didn't have that, now I'm operating from like this trauma response and everything that I do, right? So I think our childhood plays a big role in how we are today, but it can be for the good and for the bad.
Okay.
And that's why therapy is good, because it can help you differentiate, is this good or is this bad? So I think that's a good question to ask yourself. And I would also ask, what is one boundary that I'm still working on, or that I need to learn how to set?
What is the definition of boundaries? Because everybody hears the word
boundaries.
What is the definition of boundaries?
So the definition in the dictionary, I can't say off the top of my head, but
your definition.
For me, I would say a boundary is something that I put in place so that I'm able to love you but still respecting myself.
Okay. Those are two great questions. Those are two great questions.
Yeah, I think so at a lot of my workshops, we do journaling. We always have those questions like that. But we'll also do like group discussions where it's like we can talk amongst ourselves. And we're like, they're like, I never thought about that. I think that's why my events are also so beneficial, because we can come in community and have these conversations. Because we're not sitting around with our friends talking about our childhood trauma and talking about, you know what I mean? So it's good to just have those safe spaces.
Right. Kind of going back to Purple Rose Petals, how'd you come up with the name?
Okay, so purple is my favorite color. Rose is my middle name. And then in my mind, the petals were going to be like the little nuggets people leave with after each event or each training.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
So I know it's feminine, but it's a meaning behind it.
That's tough. How'd you come up with your logo?
So my logo, so I didn't want it to be purple. That's why if you see it, it's like it's the rose, but the rose is in gold. Purple is not in purple; it's actually in black. And so I don't know. I just was playing around one day. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I always love to ask, because especially with the design of it, because a lot of people have different meanings, symbols in there that can mean
different things. Yeah.
Exactly. So. So that's amazing. So with Purple Rose Petals, what are some next upcoming events that you have coming up?
Yeah, so we have a few coming up. So March is International Women's Month.
Okay.
So we'll have an event specifically for our ladies. We're going to have a panelist, like it'll be fireside chat. They're going to come and talk about how it's going to be a nutritionist, a physical therapist, and a doctor. And we're really going to talk about how our physical health and our gut health, how that really affects our mental health as well. We'll talk about hormones, all of those things. We have another Brotherhood and Bourbon event coming up just for our men. We also have Mind on the Mat event. It's going to be like a yoga and journaling event.
If you know dates, say dates as well.
Oh.
If you don't know dates,
I do know his not off of my head. I know them, but I don't want to give But they're coming up. They're all coming up in March. A lot of different things. Definitely just follow us on social media, Purple Rose Petals, and you'll see all of our upcoming events.
For sure. Let me ask you this. You know, I know you say you like event planning, you building this community. Does that come from your childhood?
Well, I was thinking about it. So my mom did, I think we have a big family, right? And my mom was the one to always, have parties. Or if somebody's having a party, they're like, oh, can you help me with this? So I think I did get that from my mom. I love hosting. Okay. I love having people over. So I love just bringing people together and having people just be happy. So, yeah.
Okay. That's amazing. That's amazing. No, so... So I kind of get stuck a little bit, but excuse me. So, between bridging the gap, you say bridging the gap of culture and what was it?
Mental health.
And mental health, right? Why did you pick those two? Because there's so many things that you can bridge the gap on. What stuck out with those two?
Yeah. Again, so like I said, because I'm a therapist, seeing that we need it in our community. We need it, right? I have people in my family who also have mental health diagnosis. So I see the importance of making sure we don't brush it under the rug. I think in our community, we're so easy to say, pray it away. Right. We're going to just pray it away. But sometimes prayer is not enough, right? We need to also talk about it. We need to get actual help. We need to go to therapists. If you need medication, get whatever it is that you need. It's really, really important for me to bridge that mental health and culture, right? Like it's important for us in our community, people of color, to know that it's okay to not be okay.
Right.
So.
Right. Are there any, what stigmas stick out to you about Black people and mental health?
And mental health is for crazy people. That's the biggest one. That is it. Like that is the biggest stigma. I think that is enough to deter us because I don't want nobody thinking I'm crazy. I don't want nobody, you know what I mean? We are so consumed with how other people see us and what they think about us. So we are never gonna say that we need help, right? We don't ever want to look weak either. Right. And so we think that having a mental illness is weakness. But sometimes you don't have to have an illness to say, I'm just struggling, I'm just burnt out, or I'm overwhelmed. So I think like this idea that if your mental health is not at its best, you're weak in some way, and that's not true. Right.
No, that is not true.
Yeah.
I feel like, do you see that a lot of people with millennials have trouble with expressing themselves?
Yeah.
To therapy, even though from the beginning, right? It's like, do you feel like that's one of the things that you have to build with your client or said client is that, I guess that, of course it's the trust, but just getting them comfortable with opening.
Yeah. So how I do it for me, the first 2 sessions are always just me getting to me. I'm asking you questions, but I'm taking notes and I'm asking you, but you don't realize that. And I figure one of my clients, he said, "Oh, you put a okie doke on me." I'm thinking we just over here kikiing. Session 5, I said, "Okay, so what I'm noticing is," he was like, "Wait a minute," you know what I mean? So yeah, you definitely do have to like build that trust with them and kind of just get to know them and try to figure out like, are there any patterns, right? I'm noticing, hey, maybe in friendships, relationships, family, there's this same pattern coming up, right? You shut down when hard conversations come up. Why? Let's talk about it. You know what I mean? So you definitely do have to kind of build that trust. I will say I'm noticing my older clients, so the ones 40, like late 40s, or they're even harder. Like it's really hard to kind of get them to open up. But you got to think about generational, right? In times, and back in the day, people did not talk about at all. I think that millennials, we're very unique. I feel like we're the first ones to kind of talk about it, but we're still not there yet. Like, we talk about it a little bit more, like we'll say, but we're still not where we can be. But the older generations,
I feel like it's because we grew up with the older generations, and the older
they're the
generations
ones that taught us. So
they told us not to say anything.
Yeah.
Like, keep everything personal within the family. Why are you talking to somebody else about this?
Keep it in the family. It's nobody else's business. Take it to God, pray it away, whatever it may be. But then also thinking about older generations, because of the times, they had to keep going. They didn't even have time to process what happened. Like, they didn't have time, you know what I mean? Like, they had to just kind of make it, just do what it do. So they didn't have time to really sit and process their emotions and what just happened.
Right.
And also thinking about just generational trauma, right? Thinking about what our parents went through, what our grandparents went through, and how that is passed down to us, even if we don't realize it, if we don't, it's not on purpose, right? Like, thinking about us being Black people, always hearing about slavery and what our people had to go through, right? Or I know for me, my mom's sister, she was murdered while my mom was pregnant with me, but it was such a big thing in the family. Even though I wasn't even born, I feel it, right? And it still affects me. So it's like generational trauma is also a real thing.
For
real.
Generational trauma. I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
I never thought about that. Okay. So, through your sessions, what are your goals? And of course, it's like, your session goals. To me, there's a difference between your session goals and what you have with your client, but your goals with therapy. Like, what are your? Let me switch it like this. What are your? What are you trying to do to better yourself with being a great therapist for your clients? Yeah.
So I think for me to be the best therapist that I can be, always taking trainings, always looking for different trainings to take. I just took a training on like AI and therapy and how to integrate that. You know what I mean? Like, keeping up with the times, but also just researching different things that I might not be the most educated in, going and taking a course on that, or even just watching a YouTube video on that, whatever it may be, just to really make sure that I am up to date with everything that's going on in the world. Like, it's always evolving.
Okay. For somebody, so we talked about for somebody that's looking for a therapist, what they should do. For somebody that's looking to be a therapist, what are some things before going into maybe said education to be a social worker or a social work degree? What are some things that they should think about before going into it?
Yeah. So there are different ways to become a therapist. You can do a social worker, but you can also do an LPC, which is a licensed professional counselor.
What is that?
So they strictly just do therapy, I believe. So I'm not too, that's not me, but they just do like counseling, right? You can also become a licensed marriage counselor. So there are different routes. The reason why I think social work is so unique is because you can do so much more with social work. You don't have to be a therapist. Like I told you before, I thought I was going to go into politics, like, and do that aspect. So with social work, you can become a therapist. You can do micro social work, which is like working at nonprofits, working with the community, CPS. You can do macro, which is more like policy, legislation. But when it comes to therapy, I would say make sure you really want to do it, because therapy is not a joke. And I say, somebody like you, right? Like, God forbid you've never been to therapy, but what if you really did have a lot of trauma and you finally decided to go and you get a therapist who doesn't want to be there? You can feel that. A therapist who their mind is somewhere else. So my biggest thing is make sure that you have the passion for it and you really want to help people. If not, do not become a therapist. Like, don't do it just because.
See, you just brought up a great question, right? I'm excited. I'm just excited for the question. So how do you separate yourself from the outside world going into your therapy sessions?
I just have to. It's so funny because there was one time I had therapy with my own therapist, and I was like, I'm going through. I was like, all right, well, I gotta go have a client. He said, you have a client? I was like, don't worry. So I have to just I have to ground myself. I just grounded myself. Some deep breaths, and I really try not to take things home with me, right? Like whatever my clients are going through. Sometimes it's really heavy, but just really trying to leave it in the session. But before my sessions, I always ground myself. I do like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or just which is you name 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can touch, 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. So that really helps me ground myself. Or I'll just do like some deep breathing, just to kind of get in the mode and get in the zone. Yeah.
Oh, because like you say, you can feel it.
Yeah, you can feel when a therapist is like, yeah.
Because a lot of things are happening to us, but like you said, when you get in front of somebody else, man, you got to be there.
You got to be that. You have to. It's about them. It's about them.
Yes.
And if you can't leave it at home, then you don't need to be in this field. And I just think it's so. It is very dangerous.
Yeah.
There are some people out here who should not be therapists. It's very, very dangerous.
Yeah.
You just want to do it for the money, or you want to do it for the. I know, like, mental health therapy is kind of trendy right now. No, you need to really have a passion and really want to do this.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's serious, man. It's serious. So somebody that's gotten the education,
Mhm.
right? And then the licensure.
Mhm.
Well, actually, let me ask you this, because I know, like you're saying, back in COVID,
Mhm.
there's a lot of people are at home.
Mhm.
Why did you not decide to, or did you even think about doing travel, being a travel social worker or something like that?
Yeah, I saw one of my friends. He did it. And he was in Miami. He was in California. He was having a time. He's like, Shawna, come on. But I had him in. Okay, if I'm being honest, like, if I was single, I probably would have done it.
Right.
But I'm like, listen, I'm trying to become somebody's wife.
Right.
So also like priorities, like knowing what my priorities were at the
Right.
time. So
Right. Because I had a friend that did a travel social. She was like, oh yeah, I make about $4,000-5,000 a week.
It's like
a week.
I think it was like sometimes it'd be like an 8-week contract.
Yeah.
They fly you out to wherever. And I forget my friend. He was literally in Miami. He was like, yeah, I work 4 days a week. It was 12-hour shifts, but he was like, then I got the weekends off. I'll be at the beach. Like, you know what I mean? So that's definitely an option.
Right.
And again, with that, that's not therapy. Well, it could be therapy, but most part, like my friend, he was working in the jail, so he was just doing assessments. Like social work, you can do so much with social. It's different thing. You can do you can do assessments, biopsychosocial. Some social workers do immigration processing. Like, there's so many things you can do with social work.
So I told you about the community way of why I started this podcast, but also another thing I started this podcast too is growing up, right? Like, and I know this is not just me. It's like you see this field that you want to go in, you see this field that you want to go in, but sometimes you don't see all the fields that you want to go in. And so with this podcast is also allowing people to be like, okay, so they do this. I didn't even think about this one right here, and I didn't think about this. So like this is great, just hearing like I not saying if I would have been a therapist or anything, but just like knowing like, wow, like this is what therapists go through. This is how they change lives. Other than just hearing like therapists always hear the negative people and like therapists are always stressed out, which I understand like how it could be that way, but it's kind of like being in the hospital and being a doctor is like you see a lot of different things, a lot of different things going on and things happening fast and families and all the emotions and people that you got to deal with. So I can only, like I said, I can only imagine what you go through, but also I can, only imagine just how much you can also help people in a greater sense, man. I know you've already gave some like amazing tips, but like just, I guess within life, man, what are some motivational tips that you can give somebody to continue to live a healthy life?
So the biggest thing I would say is find your purpose and find your passion. Right? Like when work doesn't feel like work, that is when you feel fulfilled. You don't feel burnt out because you're doing what you want to do. I think that would be my biggest thing. And then the second thing I would say, like I said earlier, I think is just know that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to say, I need to take a step back. I need to do this. Maybe I'm struggling. That's okay. We don't always have to be performing at our 100.
Right.
So it's okay to just take a step back.
Right. That's great. That's some great tips. Because I've taken breaks. Like I told you before this, like I started this podcast um in a different realm where I didn't have the right cameras. So I took a break. And then but like it just kept speaking to me. It's like I need to get back on this podcast. Um and so now I'm here. I've done it with photography. Doing photography. Wasn't really getting as much notoriety with it. Took a break with it. Found the group, found the people I was surrounded by, was able to get back into it. All these things though that I've taken breaks from and gotten back into it. Have been passions of mine.
Yeah.
Like I've had to take the time to realize that, just even after it's like a year or 2, 3 after I did photography, like I went to a photo gallery one time. Was actually like, I like photos. Like I like looking at photos. Like I literally could stand at a photo and be like, okay, the light is sitting this way. They probably took it because of this. They angled it this way. This is a certain structure that they was really trying to point out. Like I love analyzing photos, and I didn't know that until I actually stepped into a photo gallery. I was able to spend like an hour and a half looking at it. Because if anything, I'm always like, all right, I'm ready to go. I feel like I got ADHD sometimes. It's just like I'm always ready to do the next thing.
Yeah.
So no,
But one thing I was saying,
go ahead.
as you were talking, one thing I was thinking about is also remembering as you're trying to find your purpose or find your passion, remember that it might not be an overnight success, right? And like you were saying, you've done all these things in the past, or you started the podcast and you stopped. That sometimes happens, right? Sometimes we go through things that help us in the long run, right? Like we go through things that are like baby steps to get us to where we want to be, right? Thinking about it, like I started Purple Rose Petals during COVID, but then stopped cold turkey and wasn't even thinking about it.
Right.
And when I restarted, I didn't think I was going to do an event, you know what I mean? But I went through different things throughout that, that 5 years that kind of that helped me become who I was going to be when I decided to relaunch it, right? So remembering that too for everybody, like as you're finding your passion or finding your purpose, it's not going to be an overnight success. We see people who you might follow someone and they like have millions of followers or they're doing what they love. We're like, oh my gosh, why can't that be me? We didn't see the 10 years that it took them to get there. Right. So just remembering that, keep going, keep your foot on the neck and keep, and just keep going.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
And also kind of spinning because I don't know why it took me so long to think about this, but spinning the block on the question of, I know you asked me about relaxation, but also relaxing my mind. I think that's why I started my candle business.
Okay.
So, I started my candle business because it requires me to slow down to make a candle, to make candles. Like I will put on a podcast. I'm able to go into the kitchen. Yeah, I'm doing something, but it's not like I can just do it and get it done.
Yeah,
it's something I have to
you have to focus on, kind of, right?
I gotta focus on it. I gotta make sure the temperatures are set to the perfect thing before I pour, and then make sure before I pour the wax, that wax into the bucket, and then the bucket into the actual jars. There's certain temperatures, mixing at the right time. Like it just makes me like. I can't just do this. Like I have to just sit here and do this and be here and relax. And then and it kind of eases my mind. Cause like I said, I'm not doing something. I'm doing something, but it's not like a fast thing. Like I'm just doing something. So.
And as you were talking, I thought about something too. My advice for people, find a hobby. Please find a hobby. Do not let your work become your whole life, right? We work 9 to 5. Please find a 5 to 9, right? And especially in the DMV, we have so many social clubs. We have a run club, a tennis club, a jump club, a golf club, anything. I just took a knitting class. Like anything that you want to do, you can find that in the DMV. So please find a hobby.
Yes. No, we definitely appreciate you for joining this podcast.
Thank you for having me.
One more time, I know you already mentioned everything, but let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, of course. So I'm Shawna Rose, the founder of Purple Rose Petals. We can be found on Instagram at Purple Rose Petals or our website at purplerosepetals.com.
Yes. Again, thank you guys for joining us for another episode of the Boss Talk and Beyond podcast. We are at the Stretch Loft in Bethesda. Definitely check the link in the bio. Definitely come check them out, man. They will get you right for sure if you feel a little stiff somewhere. So, thank you guys. Like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you.